this is a questionable choice. There's a car there. The truck's kind of over there, but we're moving. Welcome to the shop. I'm Jared, and this is Wrench Every Day. Today we are back in Georgia, Site B, with the amazing 1971 International Harvester Johnny Rev edition, featuring some great parts from the guys at J&J Auto Wrecking. We're tuning it with HP tuners. Lots of great parts are going into the truck, and today, well, the next couple days, we are going to do the finishing touches to finally take Johnny Rev down the road with the new suspension and new engine, new power, just everything. It's going to be fantastic. I'm excited to finally reach this point. We've had enough delays and it is time to go. So what exactly are we going to have to get done? We're going to have to measure a drive shaft. We're going to have to put the new steering rack in, as we saw last time with Johnny Rev. He wanted to be a NASCAR truck and we want a lot more out of him. So we're going to have to go ahead and put that new steering rack in. We've got a new crank pulley. So that'll be all taken care of. So we'll stop leaking those little fluids. We're going to measure up that drive shaft. Got a good local shop called Ron's Driveline who's going to whip one up for us so we can put it in and actually move under its own power. We're going to have to put in a shifter. We're either going to use the column shifter or I may just go ahead and grab a floor shifter because I'm kind of tired of fighting with problems and I want to drive the truck. And the floor shifter is going to work fantastic for it, so we may get that. We're going to build that exhaust and bolt the sheet metal on and drive the truck. We're also going to go through and do the alignment on the truck over at Controlled Motors, as they have an alignment rack with that much custom suspension work. We're going to need that. But before we can get into too much wrenching, we've got to talk about a small problem we've been having here at Site B. I've been on the road a fair bit between Tavarish filming in Florida, Car Trek filming in Las Vegas, and the Dust Bowl Rally. I've been all over the country, and while I've been gone, there's been some unauthorized attempts at getting into our back door here. So that gives us a perfect time to introduce today's sponsor, Simply Safe. Simply Safe is incredibly effective and reliable home security that is going to keep your home or shop safe. You just jump online or pick up the phone and order it. It is shipped to you very quickly where you can install it yourself. We're all DIYers, and especially in times like these, it's nice to not have to have a stranger come into your home for installation. Just how easy is all of this stuff to install? It's installed! Just that easy. Well, maybe not quite, but it's still very easy. Less than an hour. Let's put it together. You just stick the sensors exactly where you need them. The included two-sided tape sticks very well to the doors. The magnets hold the sensors tight in place. And installing the smart lock was a simple process as well. A couple screws and it goes right in place of the original deadbolt. Once you've gotten all the sensors installed, you jump on the handy app and website, create your account, configure your system, and you're protected.
Simply Safe on. Away.
From there, your home is professionally monitored 24/7. If anything happens, they'll make sure the police get called. They've got sensors to cover every window, room, and door, plus lots of great extras like water sensors, temperature sensors, and high-definition cameras. It's all really easy to use, and you get around-the-clock protection for just 50 cents a day with no contracts. They've even won U.S. News & World Report's Best Overall Security System for 2020. And if you're ready to have the award-winning team at Simply Safe keeping your house and shop safe, click the link in the description below for your own Simply Safe system where you can configure it exactly how you need it. You're able to pick the sensors and features you want for your home system and have that great no contract monitoring. All the information in the description below. Let's get back to wrenching. All right, first order of business on today's wrenching. We are going to get this thing up and on some jack stands where we will pull our steering shaft, the power steering rack, and replace that crank pulley. Once we have that done, it is nuts on the shock absorbers, all the bolts in the front end, and just kind of securing all of this. Then we get to keep going a little bit more, but let's get to work. Let me tell you, some days it is a little rough working on cars. If Johnny Rev can fight, he's been fighting. We've got the steering rack out, and we found the exact process. Hopefully you can see it good in the footage, where you have to wiggle it out and come out one exacting way. So we've got that out, and we started pulling the crank pulley, and of course the special hardened bolts have lost all of their edge and aren't coming off, so I'm having to weld nuts onto them, and my welding mask died in the middle of it, so I got a quick welding flash, so I had to just walk away for a little bit. So what we've been fighting with, and you can kind of see it down there, is the 12-point bolts are just circles. So we've got the nuts to weld on, so we can finish getting that off. I've got batteries, so I'm not blinded doing that. Once the crank pulley comes off, we'll clean all of this up real quick, put the new crank pulley on, put the steering rack back on, drive belt back on, intake, and then we will put our catch can system on. Oh, something else. Yep, let's trip and fall. Something else real exciting. That drive shaft. So, I mean, it just looks like a black tube, but we can't drive Johnny Rev without this piece. So at 64 and a 16th inch, we had to go 3.5 inches to make it work. So we'll be putting that in soon. But like I've said in the previous videos, you're gonna hit roadblocks in your projects. You're gonna get frustrated. Even I can get frustrated. Best thing to do, just walk away for a little bit, come back at it with a fresh head and get going again. We've just been knocking our way through the punch list. We've already got the intake back on. Again, motor mounts are done. That new rack is in. The new crank pulley is on. We are about to go underneath and fit the drive shaft, at which point Johnny Rev could technically drive. But two things are stopping that. One, we need to get the transmission dipstick in so we can add fluid. And two, we need to have our shift cable so we can put it in gear. Otherwise, we're just always going to be in drive, and that could be problematic. So let's slip underneath and see if our custom drive shaft is going to fit. Next for us to get thrown in there is this Locar flexible transmission dipstick. Because of how tight all the fitment is, none of the solid tube dipsticks are going to work. So we've got to use this flexible one where this will press into the trans case. This will mount to our firewall, put some transmission oil in it. We've got cameras set up. We are going to fire up the truck. It should be in park. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of exciting and terrible, and we are ready. Battery is hooked up. All the fluids are back in it. Has transmission fluid in it now, so we should be able to start pressurizing that. And no front wheels. We're on jack stands, so hopefully we don't Dukes a Hazzard and jump it. So, reach through. Everything's priming. Just as loud as before, as we don't have the exhaust done yet. All right, power steering works. Let's see. So where's that leaving us before the drive? Now we've got the starting again and it's running happy. We have to do the pressure crankcase catch can system, which is a real simple, quick and mount. I just have to pick up some more vapor hoses I ran out. We have to do the shift cable and bolt the bodywork on. And we're driving. I'm excited. If I wasn't so exhausted and out of parts, we'd be doing it just through the night, but we'll pick it up back in the morning where that truck's going down the road. We'll have our shop helper, and so far all she's done is find every rag I was trying to use and then run around and play with it, right? Okay. Why are you so cute? Let's get you guys caught up on the wrenching we've been doing this morning so far. We are making good progress. We've got the front sheet metal bolted back on. I wired up our alternator here and it now works and charges. That is a process of, since we're not running a charge light on this truck, on a 4-wire alternator, you have to run a resistor to simulate a bulb being in circuit. So we've got that taken care of. The shift cable assembly. This transmission is shifted via a cable to move it in and out of gear. This truck was set up with a mechanical linkage, and we had an initial kit that wasn't going to work, and then I went and bought a floor shifter that I really didn't want to use because it was a good chunk of money that could go to a steering box drop, but I want to get this truck working. But looking back at our original parts, I think I can take their adapter bracket, weld it on, make my own cable mount down below, and we'll be able to shift into gears. So that's what we're going to move into. Do a little bit of welding, a little bit of bracket making. And now let's see if we can feel each gear. I'm going to have to track down a different little indicator here. It's hard to read, so we'll just need to shift through here and feel each gear. So we're in park. That was reverse. Neutral. Oh boy. Well, it's connected. I mean, it's an old truck. It shouldn't shift perfectly smooth, right? It should be all kinds of clicky and guess your gear. All right, we're out of the little things to do before we try driving the truck. Well, there's exhaust, but that's not a little thing. We have an exhaust and alignment, and that's scheduled to be done tomorrow over at Controlled Motors. Our next step is to start the truck and set the transmission fluid level. But we're going to do that with our foot on the brake inside because there's a fair chance that the cable might be a little bit off, and Johnny is going to try to take off out the door into the field, never to be seen of again. So let's go do that, see what happens. As soon as we know it's running, not making horrible noises, we're going to shift manually through each gear, then let it get up to a little bit of a temperature and check that fluid on our flexible dipstick. So we won't be able to talk much while Johnny's running, because again, that open exhaust is a little bit exciting. All right, good and hard on the brake pedal. Ooh, that gas pedal position worked out nice. I kind of like it there. I was guessing, and that was a good guess. So, okay, key on. Pretty sure that's park. Okay, foot down. Oh, nothing's really happening. My guess is we probably need a little more fluid to get movement. So let's add a little fluid and try driving again. right, a little more fluid in. Hey, that'll be neutral. That's drive. There we go. I'm not sure how well it's selecting the 4 ranges of drive, but we can at least catch overdrive and back to park. Sweet. That means we're going to do something questionable here just real quick. So, not doing burnouts before to, whoops, had to make sure Simply Safe knew that there wasn't a fire. This is a questionable choice. There's a car there, the truck's kind of over there. We're one tire fire. The open differential did not equally lock up, so only one of them is spinning. I'm sure we'll come up with a solution for that before too much longer. But we're moving. It's capable of moving. Exhaust tomorrow, alignment tomorrow, and first road trip tomorrow. We'll see you guys once I get the smoke cleared out a little bit, because yeah, that's bad. That's pretty high up on questionable. Maybe I should have gone outside to the concrete pad instead. That maybe would have been smarter, but smarter's never fun, right? Just do the questionable things. Borderline, maybe. Stupid? Nah, not stupid, questionable, and fun. All right, so we've been at Controlled Motors for the day working on Johnny Rev doing the exhaust fabrication. Let's walk around and show you the unique characteristic of shoving a engine so far in and back. One, your transmission oil pan is on the ground, and two, you don't see the exhaust pretty much at all. You can almost see the mufflers there. In spirit of the original system, we brought it just halfway back to the bed and did 90-degree turn downs. So you can kind of call this a street sweeper style, where as it's running, it's just going to blow a bunch of dust out from under it and be good fun. It's still really weird seeing a drive shaft go up from a transmission to a rear end, but again, when you do things silly, that's what you happen. We also did, it's kind of like a bent I-pipe, the H-pipe. Again, normally these crossover sections would go underneath a drive shaft, not over a drive shaft, but we have all of our spare room. You know, there's still room above the exhaust there. So all attributes of just shoving a engine way too far in and deep and low. So we're gonna lower the truck, fire it up, and see if it sounds a little bit better than just the straight headers. That is a nice, quiet, subdued sound. I think that sounds just perfect. Holy cow. Those are just the $34 Summit Racing welded turbo mufflers with 90-degree turn downs, and again, I think that's just right. That'll do. That's definitely a lot better in the straight headers. So let's get the rear tires changed out, get the alignment done, and then that's test driving time. Scott, being as efficient as he is, already jumped into getting the alignment taken care of. We have gone through and adjusted the camber caster. Let me slip underneath to try to explain what those numbers are. Camber is what you see a lot of time, especially you see lots of it on a stance car where that tire is pointed way in. It's specific measurement referencing this is your lower ball joint and that is your upper ball joint. It is the angle that a line through those joints makes. The other adjustment is called caster, and that is the relationship of these joints forward and back. And when you're setting up, especially like along a performance line and handling on a vehicle, you want some negative camber, and I like positive caster. Positive caster is going to help return the steering wheel back to straight and cause the vehicle to drive true, and it's easier to track straight with positive caster. But what you end up running into is if you have too much positive caster, you can develop actual harshness in the ride of the vehicle because of the angle of the suspension pointed so far back. It transfers vibration into the cab. The best illustration of caster is most everyone has ridden a 10-speed bicycle or any bicycle, and you'll see how the fork that your front wheel attaches to kind of swings forward, and it makes a nice smooth ride where you can take your hands off the handlebar and just ride for a nice long time. If you ever then turn your handlebars backwards and try to ride that way, and how wobbly and just ill handling your bicycle became, that is how caster directly relates into vehicles. So we're running just over -2 degrees of camber, so that way when we turn in, we're gonna have good contact patch, and right around 7 degrees of positive caster. We have it set up to track slightly left in our caster settings, so that way when you drive on road crown, which is the natural angle of a road to help water drain off of it, it will drive straight and true. So we've got a bunch of numbers. Some of them are yellow, some of them are red. We've got some green. Generally speaking, green is what you want, but we are setting the truck up for a specific alignment goal. So we have a slightly more camber on the left, which can cause a minor drift, but we've got our caster again set up to make the truck have a slight left drift to fight any road crown. If we're gonna go do an autocross day or anything serious on the suspension, we'll go through and shim and get this set up exactly neutral for a flat road on a road course or autocross, where you can fine tune that a little bit more. Now, on a solid axle rear truck, you can't really adjust the rear end. You can loosen the suspension bolts and get some movement, but you can't adjust camber on a solid axle, and this may just be a erroneous sensor reading. Sometimes the numbers don't make sense. It's a solid axle rear truck, and rear camber doesn't affect what we can adjust and install. The fact that we've only got 09 thrust angle, which is the orientation of the rear end to the front end, means all that work that Randy put in, putting the front suspension together and measuring the subframe and us measuring it 100 times and then 100 more times, we built a square truck. Kudos to you, Randy. So, let's just go and cruise the truck, because that's really what he's meant to do. Go for a nice cruise, maybe not throw him so hard into some corners, and enjoy the fruit of all of this hard work to make a nice running, mean sounding Johnny Rev International Harvester pickup truck. And we are back to Site B. Kind of took it out on just a nice longer pleasure drive to enjoy the truck. We've been working hard on it, did a lot of, we could have done the easy LS route where we just mounted it to the frame and it would have been super simple. But because of the questionable decision to use that Corvette suspension's engine mounting system, we made so much more work for us. But, I mean, just listen to it. It just idles beautifully, runs great, and it was the perfect choice. Throwing it through the little bit of corners I could with the tight steering, it's just saying so much for what it wants to be. And that's gonna do it for our episode on Johnny Rev's first drive. I think it was fantastic. We banged out a lot of small fabrication work, and we drove the truck, and we drove it a lot. I racked up substantial miles with the cameras on, with the cameras off. Feels good to drive it again after doing so much. I'd like to thank Simply Safe once again for sponsoring this video. Information in the link in the description below so you can look at getting your own Simply Safe security system and protect your house. I'd also like to thank the guys who helped and supported the entire build process. J&J Auto Wrecking, huge support from them, sending us the parts that we need and quickly getting out the replacement parts when some of them were damaged. Great guys, check them out, information below as well. Our friends GRC Fabrication, all of the work they did helping with the insane amount of fabrication, heavy chassis fabrication. I also like to thank the Controlled Motors guys for helping out with fabrication in between and letting us come by, use their shop to do the exhaust and get the alignment taken care of. HP Tuners as well for sending out the MPVI-2 with the licenses we needed to take care of all the little tuning, which a lot more of that is to come, because again, that is what's next, dyno tuning and maximizing. I can't wait for that episode. We're gonna have some problems because Johnny Rev's a bit long and doesn't fit on the lift, so we're gonna figure out how to get him on the dyno, then we can do full power tuning, and then we do the before and after. Just how much better is Johnny now than before? I think a whole lot. A whole lot. I can't see how it won't be. So that's going to completely wrap us up for today. As always, I appreciate you guys hanging out with us while we work on insane cool trucks like this 1971 International. I'm Jared, reminding you to always make questionable choices. And just because you can, doesn't mean you should, but you probably should. We'll see you.